So today we are going to discuss a new topic, that is ecosystem. Ecosystem is a very important topic whenever we are discussing environmental studies. Ecosystem plays a very important role in deciding the success and failure of any environmental system. Ecosystem consists of several components interrelated with each other, and each component has its own role, important role, and as it is interrelated, all components are interrelated. If one component is hampered due to any man-made activity or through natural activity, several things get damaged, or say like overall system collapse. That is why it is advised as a very important topic of environmental studies, that is ecosystem. So we'll move next. So definition of ecosystem: the living communities of plants and animals in any area together with the non-living components of the ecosystem environment, such as soil, air, and water, constitute the ecosystem. So, the combination of all the living things like plants and animals, when they are living together in any area, along with the non-living components of the environment, such as soil, air, and water, combinedly can be called as ecosystem. So the nature of the ecosystem is based on its geographical features, such as hills, mountains, plain, river, lakes, coastal areas, or islands. It is also controlled by climatic conditions, such as the amount of sunlight, the temperature, and the rainfall in the region. Ecosystems are divided into terrestrial or land-based ecosystem as well as aquatic ecosystem in water. So we can see that the nature or characteristic of any ecosystem mostly depends on the geographical features. The ecosystem of a hill or mountain will differ compared to plain or a river or coastal ecosystem. Similarly, the components of a hilly or a mountain based ecosystem will also differ compared to coastal areas or a river based ecosystem. Like in case of mountain or hilly regions, there will be animals will be there, more number of animals, different varieties of animals. But in case of aquatic ecosystem or a ecosystem which consists of terrestrial as well as aquatic, it will have less number of animals compared to hilly or mountain regions. So the geographical features play a very important role in deciding the components of any ecosystem. Also, it is controlled by climatic conditions such as amount of sunlight, the temperature, and the rainfall in the region. So, talking about classification of ecosystem, two classifications are there. First is terrestrial or land-based ecosystem, and second is aquatic ecosystem, which is found in water. Structural aspect of ecosystem. There are different components that make up the structural aspect of any ecosystem. Those aspects include inorganic aspect, organic compounds, climatic regimes such as temperature, moisture, light, and topography, producers consisting plant, micro consumers like large animals, and micro consumers examples can be fungi. So these are the different components who make up in building or developing a structural aspect of any food system. So functional aspect of ecosystem. There are different cycles among any ecosystem. Those cycles are energy cycle, food chains, diversity interlinkages between different organisms, nutrient cycle, biogeochemical cycle, and evolution. So this all cycles, interlinkages, and chains create up or bind up to evolution, generation, development. So talking about producers, plants are the producers in the ecosystem as they manufacture their food by using energy from the sun. In the forest, these form communities of plant life. In the sea, they include tiny algae forms to large seaweed. So plants are considered as the producers because they don't rely on any other living beings for preparation of their food. From where does they take food? They manufacture their food by using energy from the sun. So that is the reason they are called as producers. And in forest area, different varieties of plant life can be seen, as well as in the sea or aquatic type of ecosystem. We can see different varieties, several varieties of algae and aquatic plants. So next are primary consumers. So primary consumers, so first one was producers, second is consumers. So consumers have several classification or different types of consumers are available. So talking about consumers, the herbivorous animals are considered as primary consumers. So you can see from the image, horse, rabbit, yak, squirrel, giraffe, and elephant. These are considered as herbivorous animals. There might be few more animals which can be considered, or all the animals which are dependent on producers, means they consume producers. They can be called as primary consumers. So all the herbivorous animals are considered as primary consumers. As they live on the producers, their main source of food is consuming the producers. In a forest, these are the insects, amphibia, reptiles, birds, and mammals. The herbivorous animals include, for example, hare, deer, elephant, horse, giraffe, etc. Those animals which live on plant life. In the sea, there are small fish that live in algae and live on algae. They survive on algae and other plants. So these all are called as primary consumers. Again, the second type of consumers are carnivorous animals, or they are called as secondary consumers, which live on herbivorous animals in the forest. The carnivorous animals are tiger, leopard, jackal, fox, and small wild cat. Whereas in marine or aquatic ecosystem, the carnivorous fish are there, which depend on the smaller fish and other marine animals. So these all are called as carnivorous animal as well as carnivorous fish, or on a broad way we can call them secondary consumers. Next are decomposers. So also we have discussed in few of the previous classes about decomposers. So decomposers or detrivorous are a group of organisms consisting of small animals like worms, insects, bacteria, fungi, which break down dead organic material into smaller particles and finally into simpler substances that are used by plant as nutrition. So the group of organism which consists of small animals like worm, insect, bacteria and fungi, what they do is their task is to break down dead organic material into smaller particles and finally into much more simpler substances that are used by plant as nutrition. So the role of decomposers or detrivorous are really very important in sustaining environment. As of current scenario, when with the increase of population, or say like when there is organic waste generation is on say like higher rate, we can see at various dump yard sites in any big city, the daily amount of waste collection from urban household, we can understand that how much organic waste is generated daily. If we talk about rural area, in the rural area also several uh, again, a huge amount of organic waste such as plant biomass is generated at least twice in a year, and even more than that at several places. So how these all things are going to be used, or how these all things are going to be again mixed up with the soil? For the mixing this all waste material or for decaying this all waste material, important role players are decomposers and detrivorous. We all might know about vermicompost, making fertilizer or compost using earthworms for breaking down dead organic material, or say like mix up or increasing the rate of decomposition. So these worms play very important role. Same process and same things are there for organic, say like composting and vermicomposting. Just the differences: in vermicompost we use worms, in simple compost we don't use worm. And the advantage is seen: the rate of decaying of the organic waste which is being done using worms is quite rapid. Why? Because earthworms are the role player in process of decaying, aerating, and several other required processes while preparation of organic manure. So decomposition is a vital function in nature, as without this, all the nutrient would be tied up in dead matter and no new life could be produced. So it is very necessary for the organic waste to be decayed, and by decaying of those organic waste, there is chances or opportunity for new life to be produced. So these are the image of several detrivorous and uh, worms. The first one you see, that is snail. This is sludge. This is millipede, bug. This one is earthworm, springtail, and mite. Similarly, some detrivorous you can see like lizard and many other components are there of detrivorous. So these all generally we whenever we see them near our house and uh, near our residence area, we try to uh, chase these all things away. To keep these all things away from our house. We don't want to keep these all things near to us. But you can see how important is this all things. They are major role players of decomposition or decaying of the organic waste. So in the empty space or rural areas, much more higher rate of this detrivorous can be seen, observed. We don't have to pay them for working for us. They do it without any payment and continuous, without being absent. So their role of environmental sustainability or environmental uplifting should be considered. Their importance, their value should be known to human beings, and preservation and protection of these all small creatures should be done. So next is energy flow in the ecosystem. Every ecosystem has several interrelated mechanisms that affects human life. These are the water cycle, the carbon cycle, the oxygen cycle, and the nitrogen cycle, and the energy cycle. So different cycles, chain process are continuously occurring for making this earth, for making this planet sustainable or suitable for living beings. While every ecosystem is controlled by these cycles, in each ecosystem, its abiotic and biotic features are distinct from each other. All the functions of the ecosystem are in some way related to the growth and regeneration of its plants and animal species. So this is the image representing water cycle. So you can see from the image, evaporation is the first activity which is occurring. The water are transformed in the form of vapors and lifted up. Formation of cloud, condensation, and precipitation occurs. Again, nearly 50% of the water which is coming down in the form of precipitation or rainfall is again lifted up or moved in the water in the atmosphere in the form of vapor transportation. Again, after some time, there is condensation, cooling activities, and precipitation occur. Once the water surface touches the ground, the water touches the ground surface, several new activities or processes begin. Initially, when there is rainfall, say for a few minutes, the amount of water or amount of drops which are falling or touching on the ground surface, they are absorbed by the topsoil. This activity occurs for few minutes. Once the topsoil is fully saturated, once the topsoil gets fully saturated, there is no more infiltration of water. Meanwhile, when the topsoil gets saturated, the moisture present in the topsoil starts to move downward direction through the process called infiltration. So the second layer of soil gets saturated, and this is a continuous process. It keeps on occurring. Once the topsoil gets saturated, the water starts to begin to flow downward direction due to gravitational force or gravitational activities, and that flow of the water is called as percolation and deep percolation. Through the activity of percolation and deep percolation, recharge of the groundwater source occurs. So next, coming to the top of the soil surface or surface, the amount of rainfall after being saturated by the topsoil, the remaining water which is coming on the ground surface, it begins to flow towards the direction of slope. After some time, it meets with streams, and these streams flow, and after some time they meet in a river, and from the river this water is again carried away, transported, and meets with sea, ocean. Similarly, when there is ground level is saturated, there is an activity or a process occurring which is called as evapotranspiration. So that is the removal of water from the ground surface, sucking of water from the ground underground through the roots, lifting it up to the leaves, and in the presence of sunlight through stomatal opening, there is release of water. So this process of lifting of water in the atmosphere through the process of evaporation and transpiration at the same time, this entire process is combinedly called as evapotranspiration. So this water cycle is a very important topic in almost all examinations which are related to environment. This question will minimum 1 to 2 questions will be there from water cycle. So next is carbon cycle, starting from fossil fuel to industry, gas exchange of the plant, carbon dioxide formation, then in the atmosphere moving and coming through the synthesis light, it, it gets into vegetation and thus it moves in the soil. Similar case is for nitrogen cycle. You can easily understand from this image that it is developed at a one place, moves through vegetation and several other components in the atmosphere. Again, somehow it comes back to the atmosphere. So this is the energy nitrogen cycle. Next is oxygen cycle. A simple diagram of oxygen cycle is being given. So tree or vegetation, they give oxygen, they create oxygen. Animals and plants, they breathe oxygen. So this is a natural occurring and continuous occurring activity. Main energy source is sun. Then it comes to producers, consumers, decomposers, inorganic nutrient food. So at the last slide, there is MCQs being given. The first is the herbivorous animal are primary dash as they live on the producers. First option is distribution, second is consumers, third is producers, and last one is manufacturers. So you have to choose the appropriate word from the mentioned object MCQs. Carnivorous animals or secondary consumers live on dash animals. So you can choose the option from the given MCQs, that is carnivorous, herbivorous, omnivorous, and none of the above. So next is conventional carnivorous fish live on other fish and marine animals. So check it whether it is correct or wrong. Decomposers or detrivorous are a group of organisms consisting of small animals. So go through the PPT, read it and choose the correct option. Next is every ecosystem has several interrelated mechanisms that affects human life. So depending on your situation, depending on uh, government advice. Next question is, in each ecosystem, it is abiotic and biotic features are distinct from each other. Next question is the nature of the ecosystem is based on its dash, such as hill, mountain, plain, river, lake, coastal, and area of island. We have just few minutes earlier we have discussed about this. Choose the correct option. Enter. Ecosystem is also controlled by climatic conditions such as amount of sunlight, the temperature, and the acid and the rainfall in the region. Choose whether this is correct or incorrect sentence. Ecosystems are divided into terrestrial or land-based ecosystems and equal. So ecosystems are divided into terrestrial or land-based ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem in dash. Choose the options from air, water, soil, land. Plants are the dash in the ecosystem as they manufacture their food by using energy from the sun. Choose the correct option from distribution, producers, manufacturers, consumers. So that's it for today's lecture. MCQs are uploaded on LMS. You can go through the PPT and attempt the quiz. So thank you. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about several acts, rules, and regulations which are related to environment and different environmental components. So basically, we call it the Environment Protection Act or just the Environment Act. हम इसको Environment Protection Act या फिर simply Environment Act बोलते हैं इसको. इसका जरूरत क्यों है? हम लोगों ने पिछले कई सारे क्लासेस में हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया कि बहुत सारा एनवायरमेंटल कंपोनेंट या फिर बहुत सारा नेचुरल रिसोर्सेस हम लोग ओवर यूटिलाइज करते हैं या फिर जो पावर में रहता है वो ज्यादा यूटिलाइज करता है या शहर के लोग बहुत सारा नेचुरल रिसोर्स को ज्यादा कंज्यूम करते हैं कंपेयर टू रूरल पॉपुलेशन. ऐसी बहुत सारी डाइवर्सिटी है, ऐसा बहुत सारा गैप है जिसको कि कम करने के लिए आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस धीरे धीरे बहुत सारे रूल्स, बहुत सारे नए लॉ, बहुत सारे एक्ट, बहुत सारे बिल पास हुए हैं और उनको लोगों के ऊपर में लगाया जाता है ताकि जिससे कि बहुत सारा रिसोर्स का हम ओवर यूटिलाइजेशन रोके या फिर उनका डिग्रेडेशन को मिनिमाइज करने के लिए. अगर अगर अभी सबको पता है कि पेड़ काटना बहुत सीवियर पनिशमेंट है पेड़ काटने का, बट अभी भी देख सकते हैं हमारा रूरल एरिया में बहुत सारे पुराना पेड़ को लोग काटते हैं, सेल आउट करते हैं. कैसे पॉसिबल होता है वो? रिसेंटली किसी ने देखा है पेड़ कटते हुए?
यस सर.
ओके, तो कैसे? अभी
यस सर.
गवर्नमेंट का तो परमिशन नहीं है पेड़ काटने का, फिर कैसे काटते हैं?
सर चोरी से काट लेते हैं.
Okay, so both बार they have to pay some amount to forest department to police station and then they get permission to cut it. अब बहुत सारा ऐसा भी सिचुएशन होता है कि लाइक अगर पुराना पेड़ है घर के आसपास में और ऐसा पॉसिबिलिटीज है कि गिरने का, सो इन दैट केस दे गेट परमिशन. और भी बहुत सारा रीजन है उसके वजह से हो सकता है. So, why, as I told that why it is important, this such kind of rules and regulation is very important in present scenario. अगर ये रूल और रेगुलेशन अगर नहीं होता है तो हमारे लिए नेचुरल रिसोर्सेस को, बहुत सारा एनवायरमेंटल कंपोनेंट्स को प्रिजर्व करना या सेव करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट होगा. जो लोग भी पावर में है या जो लोग भी उस रिसोर्स के आसपास में है, दे विल कंज्यूम मोर और एक्सेस अमाउंट में दे विल कंज्यूम और दे विल ओवर यूज एंड एक्सप्लॉइट द रिसोर्सेस. So for this reason, to minimize this all activities, government has enforced this all law, rules and regulation. So the first one is that is Environment Protection Act that was constituted in 1986 on 19th November in order to provide protection and improvement of environment and for related matter, such kind of matters. Um, there are four main chapters and different clause which lay down the standards, policies and acts of environmental degradation. पहला chapter है that describes the definition of various entities that are related to environment. Then second chapter है that describes the role of central government to take measures for environment protection and its improvement along with the economic development. Also, it includes the appointment of officers, several other appointments they do in order to give directions, in order to regulate environmental pollution, lay down different procedures and standards for industrial waste, like management of industrial waste and all. So, from the first slide, it is very clear that this all act and rules are constituted in order to minimize the different degradation activities which are occurring nowadays. एंड ऐसा नहीं है कि ये प्रॉब्लम दिस प्रॉब्लम हैज अराइज्ड दिस इज अ न्यूली अराइज प्रॉब्लम बट यू कैन सी दिस एक्ट हैज बीन कॉन्स्टिट्यूटेड इन 1986. सो ये प्रॉब्लम तो बहुत पहले से ही है बट स्टिल पीपल आर नॉट अवेयर. और हम देखते हैं बहुत सारे एरिया में अभी भी डिफोरेस्टेशन जैसी एक्टिविटीज माइनिंग जैसी एक्टिविटीज अभी भी बहुत ही तेज रफ्तार से चल रहा होता है. सो by observing the current scenario of say like climate change, then uncertainty of several climatic parameters like a shift in parameters of rainfall, then shift in intensity and duration of rainfall. So this, like by observing these activities we can realize ki such kind of rules regulations are really very important and it should be constituted, it should be restructured again and again. जैसे बहुत सारा लॉ पुराना हो चुका है और उनमें बहुत सारे लूप होल लोगों ने ढूंढ लिया है जिसके थ्रू अभी भी वो लोग उस लूप होल के थ्रू सारा डिग्रेड एनवायरमेंटल एक्टिविटीज को भी रोकने के लिए जरूरत है कि बहुत सारा रीफ्रेम करें हम इन सारे पुराने लॉ को, जो कि जैसे कि हम देख रहे हैं कि 6 में बना था. तो इसके जो भी चैप्टर्स है जो भी क्लॉज है इसमें हो सकता है कि उनमें अभी के टाइम में बहुत सारा लूप होल्स हो, तो उनको सुधारने के लिए इसको रिफ्रेम करने की और नया लॉ बनाने की जरूरत है. Then chapter 3 deals with the prevention, control and abatement of environmental pollution. As per the guidelines, a person running an industry cannot emit or discharge environmental pollution in excess of the permissible limit. So, just wait. Okay, so am I audible?
Yes, sir.
ओके. सो जैसा कि चैप्टर 3 में लिखा है कि कोई भी ऐसा पर्सन है जो कि अगर इंडस्ट्री रन कर रहा है, सो वाइल स्टार्टिंग ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री ही हैज टू डू रजिस्ट्रेशन विद एनवायरनमेंट डिपार्टमेंट आल्सो. सो एनवायरनमेंट डिपार्टमेंट क्या करता है कि they give permission to the concerned industry that you will generate or you will have permission to generate only this much amount of pollution. That pollution can be in any form, either say like air pollution like generation of smoke and CO2, या फिर कुछ सॉलिड वेस्ट अगर जनरेट करता है, तो everything is limited and everything has permission और limitation. उस लिमिटेशन से ज्यादा अगर करता है तो दे विल बी चार्ज. ठीक है, इसलिए हम बहुत बार देखते हैं कि कैसा भी इंडस्ट्री है या वर्कशॉप है, अगर पुलिस वाले चाहे तो उनके ऊपर फाइन लगा सकते हैं वो लोग एनवायरमेंटल एक्ट के थ्रू. क्योंकि ऐसा बहुत ही कॉमनली देखने को मिलता है कि जिसका भी परमिशन जितना ज्यादा है उससे ज्यादा ही दे आर जनरेटिंग either waste or they are contributing to air pollution. बहुत सारा कोई भी इंडस्ट्री उठा लो, उनका पोल्यूशन उनके परमिट से ज्यादा रहता है, बहुत ही कॉमनली ये देखने के लिए मिलता है. ठीक है. So next one is chapter 4 that lists miscellaneous clauses which are not pertaining to environment but are guidelines for functioning and conduct of officers and government representatives, and these guidelines must be laid before Parliament for its validity. The next one is Air Prevention Act, or Air, simply we call it Air Act or Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act. So this act has been enacted in 1981. It consists of 7 chapters and 54 sections. तो पहला वाला चैप्टर इसका ये बोलता है कि दिस चैप्टर डिफाइंस द फॉलोइंग टर्म्स सच एज एयर पोल्यूशन, अप्रूव्ड फ्यूल, ऑटोमोबाइल, चिमनी एमिशन, कंट्रोल इक्विपमेंट एक्सेट्रा। तो रूरल एरिया में अगर तुमने देखा होगा जो जो भी ब्रिक इंडस्ट्री होता है, ईंट भट्ठा होता है ना, उसमें से कितना धुआं निकलता है? ईंट भट्ठे से कितने लोगों ने देख रखा है ईंट भट्ठा जहाँ पे ईंट बनता है, ब्रिक?
यस सर, देखे हैं सर।
यस सर, देखे हैं
उससे
सर।
कैसे?
यस सर, देखा
उससे
है।
कितना धुआं निकलता है?
बहुत सर।
बहुत
बहुत
ज्यादा।
ज्यादा निकलता है ना।
बहुत ज्यादा।
तो वो उसको परमिशन लेना पड़ता होगा और गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट से अंडर द प्रिवेंशन एंड कंट्रोल पोल्यूशन एक्ट परमिशन लेना पड़ता होगा, एंड देन ओनली दे विल बी गेटिंग क्लियरेंस. So, second chapter deals with the information regarding CPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board, and SPCB, that is State Pollution Control Board, their constitutions, terms and conditions of service of members, delegations of power to various officials. So, chapter second, इस एक्ट का चैप्टर सेकंड ये बताता है कि कुछ स्पेसिफिक रूल रेगुलेशन है इन चीजों के लिए. सीपीसीबी का अलग है और स्टेट पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड का अलग है. जैसा कि फॉर एग्जांपल अभी दिल्ली में, मुंबई में, मतलब जितना भी मेट्रो सिटी है, स्पेशली जो दिल्ली शहर है, विद इन दिल्ली नया इंडस्ट्री सेटअप करने का परमिशन नहीं है बाई सीपीसीबी. ठीक है, नया इंडस्ट्री विद इन द पेरिफेरी ऑफ दिल्ली इज नॉट परमिटेड टू सेट अप नाउ. जबकि दूसरे सारे स्टेट में सीडीसीबी से कोई बाउंडेशन नहीं है, तो उनका स्टेट का अपना परमिशन अगर है तो दे विल सेट अप इंडस्ट्री, अगर नहीं है तो दे विल नॉट सेट अप इंडस्ट्री. ठीक है. और दिल्ली में ऐसा क्यों है? उसका एक रीजन ये है क्योंकि दिल्ली में ऑलरेडी बहुत ज्यादा डेंस पॉपुलेशन है, बहुत ही व्हीकल का डेंसिटी, नंबर ऑफ व्हीकल्स बहुत ज्यादा है, और पुराने बहुत सारे इंडस्ट्री है जिनको कि हटाया नहीं जा सकता, जैसा कि छोटे छोटे बहुत सारे मिल है, बहुत सारे इंडस्ट्री है जो कि ऑलरेडी सफिशिएंट अमाउंट में पोल्यूशन है. अंडर द गाइडलाइंस ऑफ पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल, इट इज नॉट रिकमेंडेड टू सेट इन पेरिफेरी ऑफ यूनियन टेरिटरी. क्योंकि बिहार में लगभग सारे ही टाइप के इंडस्ट्री का सेटअप करने का के लिए परमिशन है, और बाकी सारे स्टेट्स में भी परमिशन है. स्टिल बिहार में क्यों नई कंपनी बनती है? कोई बताएगा? पता है कि नहीं?
क्या सर, आपका आवाज कट कट के आ रहा है.
हाँ, मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कि बिहार में नई इंडस्ट्री क्यों नहीं लगती है जल्दी? आ रही है? हेलो
सर कट कट के आवाज आ रहा है।
सर कट कट के आ रहा है।
अरे
सर बिहार में
next third emphasizes the function of central board and state board such as to collect, file and publish the data regarding air pollution and to guide the industry for the effective prevention and control of air pollution. आ रही है मेरी आवाज?
यस
यस
सर।
सर।
ओके ठीक है। और सिमिलरली चैप्टर 4 है that deals with prevention and control of air pollution. This board is authorized to declare air pollution control areas, instruct regarding the emission standards for automobiles and restrict activities of travel industry. Similarly, Chapter 4 है, deals with the fund, accounts and auditing of the central and state boards. Similarly, Chapter 6 है, and there is some punishment like imprisonment for not less than 1 year and 6 months. It may be to 6 years and with fine. ये सारे जो act अगर हम करते हैं, जो एयर पोल्यूशन एक्ट है अगर उसको हम तोड़ते हैं, उसके उस एक्ट के थ्रू किसी भी 1 year and 6 month एक करीब करीब 1.5 साल की जेल या फिर 6 साल की जेल और उसके साथ में फाइन उसके ऊपर लगाया जा सकता है. सो दिस इज द इफ समवन गोस against the law or against the act of air pollution and control act. Similarly और भी बहुत सारे chapters हैं, you go through this chapter. The Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act. The Water Act, it was enacted by Parliament in 1974 to control and resolve the water pollution, to control and for control and prevention of water pollution. This act consists of 8 chapters and 64 sections. So all these chapters you can go through it. I'm not going to read all these lines. 8 chapters है तो different sections है. One is wildlife. So this act is framed in 1972. Protection of wild animals. Plants. So comprises and this act extends whole of India except Jammu and Kashmir. तो ये बोल के ना सकता है कि ऐसा कौन सा स्टेट है जहाँ की वाइल्ड लाइफ नहीं लगता है. तो
सर साउंड कट कट के आ रहा है.
कश्मीर. तो ये एक्ट 1972 में बना था और
सर
इसके
आपकी साउंड नहीं आ रही है.
नहीं सर
क्यों
कट
नहीं आ रहा
कट के आ
है?
रहा है।
नो सर कट कट के आ रहा है.
मैं क्या करूँ, जो इंटरनेट है वही इंटरनेट यूज, तो मैं एक चेंज करता हूँ इंटरनेट, देखते हैं. तो यही चल रहा है सिर्फ. चलो कोई नहीं, मैं थोड़ा थोड़ा बस इतना ही है इसमें. पीपीटी ऑलरेडी में किया हुआ है तो यू कैन रीड, गो थ्रू इट, तो देख सकते हो उसमें से.